After having been left for dead, the OPZ respawned for a rematch with the champion OP1. A series of firmware updates injected the OPZ with a fierce competitive edge. A new sampler was added to the OPZ, making it a strong contender. But in this family rivalry, will it be enough to overthrow the reigning champion OP1? Let's find out. It's the battle you've been waiting for. It's Beat Fighter 2. Alright fighters, let's go over the rules. There will be 12 rounds, one topic per round. A point will be awarded to the contender who did the best overall in each round. At the end of 12 rounds, the contender with the most points wins. Round 1, Sampling. Fight. The updated OP1 got a sampler based on the OP1 sampler DNA. Both devices share the drum and synth sampler engines, and the encoder knobs share similar parameters between both units. This helped TE add sampling to the OPZ, and OP1 users should be familiar with these features. With the ability to sample, the OPZ gets a big jump in terms of usability and value. It opens up potential uses and workflows, and it makes the OPZ more competitive against other standalone devices on the market. But the OP1 isn't going down easily. Despite sharing similar features, the OP1 still has a few features that the Z doesn't have, mainly dedicated input and output. The OP1 has a mic/line input on an 1/8" jack, and it has a separate 1/8" connector for headphones and line output. This makes I/O connectivity convenient. The OPZ has a combination TRRS jack for both input and output. In addition to complicating input and output connections, the input is limited to a mic level signal, so it's not as useful as the OP1. The audience didn't like that one, Chuck. Alright, we want a clean fight. TE warned users that the OPZ was not meant to have a line-level signal fed into its input. Since it's not designed to work that way, the OPZ gets a warning. In addition to the line-level input, the OP1 has a built-in radio to sample, and you can sample to its internal tape section, giving users more sample sources and sampling flexibility. The point goes to the OP1 for having more versatility and a user-friendly delivery and workflow. Round 2, User Experience. Fight. The OP1 broke the mold when it was first released. From its clean, compact design and sharp OLED screen to its mil-spec buttons, users have been magnetized by the OP1. It's quirky and different as compared to just about every synth sampler and standalone workstation device on the market, and that's all part of its appeal. The OPZ had an uphill battle being released without a screen. TE took a huge risk with the Z and challenged themselves to make a more compact, expandable device with a good sequencer, and they succeeded on all these accounts. Then, going for the knockout, TE added Bluetooth connectivity and a pairing app. This greatly supplements and enhances the user experience by providing useful feedback via the app. The point goes to the OPZ for having an accessible but robust user experience. Round 3, Workflow. Fight. Somehow, what the OP1 gains in its user experience, it loses in terms of its workflow. Central to the OP1's workflow is its 4-track tape recorder, which is seemingly archaic and misplaced by today's standards. What makes its workflow even worse is its sequencers. More on that later. Although some users enjoy the OP1's workflow, the tape feature in combination with the sequencers leave many users abandoning these features and using the OP1 primarily for sound design and sequencing it externally. The OPZ could be seen as proof that TE had something to prove when it came to the OP1's weaknesses. To fill this void, they developed another device that could also be seen as experimental, but with a stronger workflow. For this device, they employed a 16-step sequencer design as the basis of workflow on the OPZ. This makes it quickly accessible to many users, as this has been a staple in drum machine design since the release of the TR-808 in 1980. A point goes to the OPZ for having an approachable and quick workflow. Round 4, Usefulness. Fight. When it comes to usefulness, both devices can be used for a number of different uses, including sound design, synthesis, sampling, and creating songs. Although you could argue that the OP1 is better in terms of sound design and the OPZ is better in terms of sequencing, it really comes down to individual preference on which feature is most useful. As a standalone device, the OPZ can simply do more. If you take into account the accessory modules being used as a USB audio device, light sequencing, and the amount of song projects you can store internally, the OPZ throws a fierce combo of features that the OP1 can't avoid. The point goes to the OPZ for being more useful. Round 5, Sequencer. Fight. The OP1 is against the ropes when it comes to its sequencer features. Although there are some sequencers on board, they're experimental and limited, which makes them less accessible and useful to the majority of users. The OPZ took a much different approach. By using a tried-and-true step sequencer design and giving users plenty of programming options, the OPZ knocks out the OP1 in terms of its sequencer. The point goes to the OPZ for having a better sequencer. Round 6. Playability. Fight. These are both musical instruments. They are both technically portable synthesizers. They can both be used for live performance. Let's see a clean fight. The OPZ is heavily marketed towards live performance. With its light control features and Unity 3D graphics engine on board, you might expect to see this device on stage at a major music festival, but that is unlikely for several reasons, chief of which is its playability, or lack thereof. With its tiny keyboard keys, the OPZ lacks the feel of an instrument built for performance. It lacks expression and soul. The power of the unit is not matched in its playability. The OP1, on the other hand, is often seen on stage and in the studio. With its larger keys and one-handed operation, the OP1 wins the point for being more playable. Round 7. Longevity. Fight. When it comes to usefulness and the ability to add features via modules, theoretically, the OPZ is positioned to be here for the long haul. But if you consider its cheap construction, it's no match for the OP1's metal body and mil-spec buttons. On the plus side, the OPZ has a user-replaceable battery, but that may not be enough to reassure users of the OPZ's physical longevity. Beyond physical properties, the OP1 has been on the market for several years. Demand for the device is still strong and it consistently sells out, which keeps demand high. With the introduction of the OPZ to the TE lineup, the OP1 still holds its own place in the market. And the OP1 has proved its longevity by withstanding the test of time. Only time will tell the fate of the OPZ. The point goes to the OP1 for having both physical and cultural longevity. Round 8. Accessories. Fight. Not many musical device manufacturers release as many accessories as Teenage Engineering. And similar to Apple products, TE offers a variety of well-designed accessories at a premium price point. With the OP1, TE released several accessories including an antenna and various cranks and pulleys to operate the device's 4 primary encoders. The overall theme of the accessories seems to be to add fun and experimentation when using the device. But the release of official TE OP1 accessories has slowed down and their focus appears to be on newer devices. With the release of the OPZ, which features an expansion slot, promises of expansion modules sparked excitement among users. Within a year of its debut, 2 modules were released for the OPZ. The OP Lab and Rumble modules show a potential to expand the experience with the OPZ. With imaginations running wild, there's no telling what future uses the OPZ could have. The point goes to the OPZ for being designed for future expansion and having innovative accessories. Round 9. Price and value. Fight. The OP1 is TE's flagship product, and it's rare to see a manufacturer increase the price of a device several years after its initial release. But that's exactly what happened with the OP1, and this changes the value of the OP1, making it harder to justify. There is always a market for a lower price point device. The OPZ fills a gap between the OP1 and many entry-level devices. The OPZ's appeal is that it offers more versatility than the OP1, making it a better value by comparison. The OPZ gets the point for being less expensive yet offering more features. Round 10. Resale value. Fight. With demand staying high and frequent supply shortages, TE products do fairly well in keeping a relatively high value. In fact, when a rumor spread that the OP1 was discontinued, it sent resale prices skyrocketing to astronomical proportions. Using Reverb.com, we have a basis of comparison for the used market of both devices. First, we can see that there are far more OPZs for sale than OP1s. Since the OPZ is a relatively new device, that's not a good sign for the Z. With a flooded used market, prices will be competitive, which is better for buyers than sellers. Next, we can view price guides for each device, starting with the OPZ. We can see that resale prices for the device have been in decline since its release. If we compare that to the OP1, we can see that the prices have been increasing in recent years. We can also see a spike just after the release of the OPZ and TE's price increase for the OP1. We want a clean fight. Get to the point and make it snappy. Alright, OP1 owners seem more reluctant to sell their units, which keeps their demand and average prices higher as compared to the OPZ. The point goes to the OP1 for having better resale value. Round 11. Inspiration. Fight. Arguably, one of the most important features of a musical instrument is how much it can inspire you to want to play it. We want a clean fight. Inspiration is subjective and it's hard to quantify. Present the best argument and make it count. When it comes to the OPZ, there's something about it that lacks divine inspiration. It looks interesting enough, and some users may be inspired by it, but let's face it, it's about as inspiring to look at as your TV remote. It's not so much something to look at, but a tool to serve a purpose. And because it's built economically, it lacks the feel and presence of a high-quality device. In fact, when considering its price, it feels too cheap. Lastly, playing the keyboard on the OPZ feels pretty lifeless, let alone inspiring. With the OP1, it's hard not to feel inspired to play the unit. With its sleek design, OLED display, and minimalist layout, the OP1 demands attention. It's unavoidably beautiful and evident that its design is one of its key characteristics. The Museum of Modern Art in New York City has an OP1 on permanent display as a testament of its design and innovation. Whether you intend to place it in a glass display case or use it to make music, it's hard not to be inspired by the OP1. The point goes to the OP1 for being a more inspiring device. Round 12, bonus features. Fight. Since the OP1 has been established for a long time, there are several synth patches and drum kits available through the user community. Although that's certainly a bonus, inherent bonus features on the OP1 may peak at its hidden helicopter game. Although that's a pretty cool bonus feature, it won't aid creativity very much. With the OPZ, it seems TE was all about adding bonus features. They build it as a multimedia synth and sequencer, with multimedia being a key characteristic. By adding DMX lighting control and the Unity 3D visual engine, the OPZ can do far more than just make music. With the inherent module expansion slot, you get a unit that is capable of creativity beyond just about any musical device short of a computer. The point goes to the OPZ for having more features to aid users in their creativity. The final score is OPZ 7 and OP1 5. And the winner of Beat Fighter 2 is the OPZ. Well folks, that's it. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please give a like if you learned something, and subscribe for more content like this. Drop a comment below, and remember to tip your server. Thanks!